Manboobs.
And we're rolling.
We are rolling and we were just discussing Manboobs. Manboobs versus bigger belly, which is better to have. I think Girish
I think
has...
I'd be going with man boobs because I have flat chest.
in my opinion, Manboobs are never right. Manboobs are always the... I would rather have a big belly than a pair of Manboobs.
Makes sense.
And let there be lights. That's what Joe said. Okay, guys, so today we have the second podcast of the Magic Man Pod, and I hope you enjoyed the first one with Sanjay. Today we have a new guest over here, Girish. We did an unofficial podcast with him. We tested out our foray into podcasting. He's back again for the second podcast episode, all the way from Jaipur. So, Girish, how are you doing?
So I was technically the first guest, right?
You were the first guest. You were the first
I
guest.
something from you.
You beat Sanjay.
Yeah. All good, Peeyush. How are you, man?
I'm good, bro. I've been now preparing to go to Kazakhstan. That's what is up.
You'll be leaving in 2 days, I guess.
I'm leaving on 23rd. We'll stay there for a few days, 4 days in fact, and we'll be back on 27th.
So we aren't getting any good grappling reels for now.
Maybe I'll create reels from there. Like, why not?
Makes
Maybe
sense.
this time I'm getting beat up by all the superior grapplers that are in the room, which I'm looking very forward to.
Absolutely.
Because Kazakhstan mein, like, they have some of the best talent in the entire world.
Undoubtedly.
ADCC में भी जितने लोग आ रहे हैं अभी world class grapplers, a lot of them ADCC trials में they are from Kazakhstan.
Makes sense.
So
It is actually the best meta for grappling, I would say, जो यहाँ से निकल के आई है.
wrestling.
Wrestling. The way they do the scrimmage and everything, सब कुछ है उधर.
Do you think they're doing scrimmage though? मुझे तो सिर्फ wrestling और
I think
offensive wrestling
Sambo
ज़्यादा.
has a lot of part of scrimmage in it.
अच्छा.
Because Islam and this guy Arman, all these guys.
But Islam में मेरे को scrimmage नहीं दिखता है. Otherwise he could have decoded and made the adjustment against Volkanovski.
I think he wasn't prepared that day for that.
Maybe
he didn't expect that it's going to be
took him lightly.
such walk for him.
उसने फाइट के बाद भी बोला था कि Volkanovski underestimated my striking, whereas I underestimated his grappling. Yeah,
makes sense.
vice versa. I think Volkanovski ने बोला था ये. So, what are you up to? What are you teaching in the academy right now? First of all, let's give our audience a background into yourself. Give me an introduction. Tell me what got you into MMA. When did you start?
So, Peeyush bhai, when it comes to how did I start with this martial arts thing, so that's going to be a very long story, to be honest. That same Bruce Lee kind of thing.
We have time.
I was
we have
bullied
time.
when I was a kid. Okay, that didn't happen. So, yeah. So, I guess in 2011, I was searching for Brock Lesnar.
2011.
2010 or 2011, because I used to be
2011-12 was the phase.
Yeah, so I was searching for him because I used to be a big WWE fan, and I came to know that there's this organization by name UFC and he competes up over there. So I was like, man, Brock वहाँ पे है, I'm pretty sure he's going to win each and everything because he
You
was
were
too
big believer
jacked.
into WWE.
Totally. And if anyone would say that it's fake, I used to get upset about it at that time. So yeah, so
You are fake, not WWE.
yeah, so was searching for Brock and came to know about that thing. So on it was torrents at that time. This site used to run torrents. So I just put UFC on that and got this ultimate 100 fights of UFC. And I think at that time UFC 100 just happened.
Okay.
So I downloaded that and then I was seeing certain fights and I was mesmerized to see that what kind of a world now I am in. And then this Frank Mir and Brock Lesnar thing happened. It was the first fight.
That was the bloodiest
And I was like,
fight.
Brock Lesnar is going to kill him. And when the fight started,
toe hold, na?
it was knee bar.
Acha, knee bar. Okay.
Mir caught Brock Lesnar in knee bar and God, things changed for me from that phase. And then immediately on YouTube, I was searching how to do a knee bar, how to do triangles, who is Chuck Liddell, all these things. So that's how martial art started with me.
Nice. So the same exact thing happened, and I think we have talked about this in the past. Even I got to know about UFC through Brock Lesnar, and I also used to be a big WWE fan back then. I was in Kota, so probably this was 2013 or 2014.
Quota for engineering.
Kota for IIT prep, like all the good North Indian guys do.
That's how techniques come from, no? The mindset. Look at the mindset.
No, I was definitely not good at it at engineering or anything like science. So I don't think there's a correlation, but anyways,
Let's
so
link
I
it
was,
though.
what I was doing in Kota was basically in Kota. Once you go there and you understand that you're not going to cut out for IITs, you have two things. You either go back home, or second is you bunk all the classes and you go into the cyber cafes. There's like a big cyber cafe culture over there, or at least in that time it was, and you just play Call of Duty throughout the day. So
Counter Strike, Call of Duty.
yes, Counter Strike and Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So I think we played Counter Strike a lot as a team. So like there would be students from all these different academies, like from Allen, from all the other big academies,
Bansal.
like Bansal classes. Basically everyone
Resonance.
who could just not make it and they knew it, they would just be there forming a team playing Counter Strike. And the business was as such, the business model was as such you don't even need to go out for lunch. They would provide you snacks while you're sitting there. So
How
people
good.
are watching movies like all, and they have basically all the movies. So they were Netflix before Netflix.
How good.
So they had like a big hard drive where they were storage where they had like all the greatest movie Hollywood in the world, all the TV shows that you wanted. Basically, they had torrented and downloaded everything in the world. So one of those days, I was sitting there and I was watching Brock Lesnar and WWE, and there was this link on the sidebar which said Brock Lesnar in UFC or something like that. And I clicked on it and I see that Brock is choking this guy. I think I don't remember the name of maybe it was Randy Couture, or did Randy Couture beat him?
No. He beat Randy Couture with those bad hammer fists.
Yes. So he was arm triangling some guy.
Shane Carvin.
Shane Carvin, yeah, who was the UFC champion at that point of time.
Interim.
Yeah, interim
Title
champion.
holder.
And
Shane
he-
Carvin was something else.
Yes,
Something else.
he
He,
was
did beat
a
Brock
ferocious
Lesnar very
guy.
bad in first round. And in second, Brock came back, took him down, and just
Yes.
got that arm triangle in.
And when he got that arm triangle, I was like, bro, what is that stuff? I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is this guy putting his head on the side of the arm and now squeezing
And then walking
this
to
guy is
that
going to
side.
sleep?
Yeah.
Like, how does that mechanic work? So maybe that's scientific curiosity that I developed that back then.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how like it made me understand, oh, there's something like UFC which exists. And finally, when I wanted to do that, I searched a lot. First I searched and my top priority was Sambo, because that was the badass Russian martial art which taught you arm bars, and all these Dagestani guys or like these Russian guys were doing it back then.
How did you came to know about Sambo back then?
Same thing. I searched like where can we learn the martial art, the choking thing,
Okay.
choking martial arts.
Okay.
I did not know a name for it like Jiu-Jitsu existed. So most of the people on those forums replied, "Oh, Sambo is better than Jiu-Jitsu. In Sambo, you also learn how to kick people." So I was like, "Wow, they teach you both, not just grappling. So why not?" But fortunately, I did not do Sambo. I ended up joining a Jiu-Jitsu gym, and that's how it started my journey. But
in Delhi, right?
yes.
In Delhi.
But that was I just hijacked the conversation.
Nah, no problem.
How did School of Combat come into picture? When did you start teaching it like professionally?
So we actually started before COVID
Okay.
by a different name, but then as soon as we started, COVID hit, and we had to close it down. So me and my brother, my cousin, we decided that obviously this thing can take a lot of time, and we cannot invite anyone to train along with us. So we brought in some mats, and I had this separate floor at my home where no one was living. So we installed the mats in it, and we started training up over there for at least a year while this COVID thing
During
was
the COVID.
running. While this COVID thing was running, once we started getting good at that, we decided now let's reopen it once COVID kind of phased off. So we decided now we are going to open with this School of Combat thing. So in February 2022, we opened School of Combat, and that's how School of Combat came into the picture.
2022, so it's so new, right? As a brand.
It's like 1 year, 3 months kind of thing.
Nice. But
Prior to that, I was working for a corporate company. Like I used
which one
to
was this?
Berger Paints India.
Acha, what
So-
were you doing there?
So I was working up over there as a business development officer, and I had a big team up over there. But then corporate life sucked, to be honest. And eventually, I've been into martial arts nearly all my life. I've been a big time UFC fan. I've been doing striking for a very long time. So this was my calling. So martial art gets inculcated into your personality set. So now it becomes very difficult to be into a
To
corporate,
do a job.
taking
yeah.
orders from people who are Actually not good.
Who won't beat you up in a street fight?
Absolutely. So it became very difficult. And then I decided that this is not going to be a thing for me. I cannot live my life being a corporate slave. So I had to quit it.
Nice.
And that's how these things happen.
That was a great decision. Because what I was like really curious is the striking reels that you have been posting these days. That's really fascinating as a person who is not like super deep into striking, but I see it happening every day around me. And I watch UFC, obviously. I watch a lot of MMA. So, how did you improve your own striking? Because you did not have a formal teacher for that, right?
Absolutely. So it's all UFC again, Peeyush bhai. So as I told you that those ultimate UFC 100 fights.
Yeah.
So I was actually looking for Brock Lesnar, but then I came across this guy Anderson Silva.
Damn. The Spider-Man.
Imagine the beginning of this thing in my subconscious that UFC is thing like UFC exists, and you say Anderson Silva over there. How would it be?
Mind blow.
So I was again watching Bruce Lee and other guys, and then watching Anderson Silva. I was like, man, this is the martial art I got to learn. And then Lyoto Machida also came up into the existence.
All the brilliant strikers.
All
during
the
that
brilliant
time, right?
strikers. Now, I actually wanted to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in 2011.
Okay.
But I was pretty sure there was no gym in India at that time. Maybe cross-train.
2011 was like very, very beginning
Yep.
phases.
Yep. So
All the gyms cross-train, IJJ, even Warriors Cove, I don't know if it existed during that time, but all these top gyms were just like coming into existence. 2011, 2012, 2013 was the genesis period.
So I started learning striking from YouTube directly. That's how I started. Even I started learning some Jiu-Jitsu. I've got footage of that. I'll share it with you someday.
I think you shared something a while back where you were doing some armbar.
In our basement, and which it was dangerous stuff that people were doing. It was actually a fight club. I used to invite some friends in, and we used to fight.
Let me just show you this move that I learned of YouTube yesterday.
And actually, I was kind of becoming a bully in my class in school. That's how it was, because I was having this advantage of moves. I understand now that mount is the most dominant position. So whatever happens, go to mount.
Think about this, like just having that one piece of information.
Absolutely.
That there is a position like mount for people who never know how to fight. It's so like life changing or like match changing, right?
Totally. That
Because-
positional awareness.
Yes. So if we take just two people, and if I just whisper in one guy's ear, there's this position like mount, you have to just sit on top of him, and you can immobilize him, and you can just control him for longer duration. Because most of the time people are fighting on the ground. I've seen all these random videos on YouTube, which you'll see like World Star videos. In that, if you see, people are just randomly scrambling on the on the ground, on their knees, trying to stand up weirdly, trying to hold someone down, shove someone. But if you just have that one piece of information that I just want to clear his legs, sit on top of him, that is just game changing.
Totally game changing.
Like, it will change the course of the fight.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So that's how it started with me. So I was learning martial arts on YouTube and was training along with my friends now who weren't strikers, who had no idea about striking, but I was having an advantage over them because I was learning it from YouTube and shadow boxing, shadow training. I had these punching bags at my home. I was training up over there. So these were the things happening. Eventually, I decided that I gotta get a coach in. I gotta learn martial arts now. So the closest thing in Jaipur to martial art was karate now. And why I decided that I'm going to go with karate is because of Lyoto Machida.
Okay.
He popularized karate thing very much. So
I actually search what martial art did Lyoto Machida do.
Exactly.
I think it came on the graphics also, UFC, right? Karate style.
Karate, exactly at that time. The styles used to come from which background these guys come. So karate was very fascinating for me because of that samurai culture and stuff. These people used to preach about. Obviously, maybe a marketing gimmick. So I went into karate and took it very seriously. And
how was the karate dojo experience like?
It was totally different from the academies that you people are running or I run.
What happened when you walked there on the first day? Tell me that.
So, like, for an average jiu-jitsu practitioner who goes into the gym, they are pretty much welcoming to you, right? Coach is going to come to you, he's going to show you new stuff, how to train and stuff. It does not go like that.
Not in all gyms, but yeah.
It does not go like that in those gyms. You come, go stand. There's this ranking system that goes on in karate. So black belts are in the left. Then comes brown belts, purple belts, blue belts, yellow belts, then white belts.
Right.
And then immediately they'd be starting with those
Katas.
This stuff, like punch and this punch, you'd be starting with this stuff.
Yeah.
Why, I have no idea. Maybe you develop some hip thrust in using those things. So that's how it started. It took a lot of time. And one more thing that I want to tell you is, like, if in Jiu-Jitsu, if you people face any sort of problem, it is okay to go to your seniors and ask for the moves, and this kind of environment is welcomed in Jiu-Jitsu industry, right? But in karate, you cannot. Your coach is going to get aggressive if a black belt talks to a white belt. But why were
you can't even talk.
How does that white belt have this sort of energy or
Authority.
that courage
Yeah.
that he can even come to you and talk to you?
Holy shit.
That Cobra
It's like
Kai shit, no?
Military school shit.
Exactly.
You can't talk to the commander.
And black belts were like, I think they must be having neck pain or something, I guess, because they were always like this.
Looking up?
Looking up. They're never going to look down.
You petty fools.
Yes, you're fools. You're fools. And even when it comes to the sparring and stuff, black belts just used to use us like dummies. They can
Black
throw any sort of strike on us with any sort of amount of power they want to use.
Yeah.
It was totally okay, because these karate coaches, especially in India, have no idea about CT, brain injuries or things like that.
Bro, they do shit like break over their
Yeah,
head.
absolutely.
Like, you've seen a lot of McDojo live videos.
Mm-hmm. Happens a lot. Breaking ice breaks and all these things. So that's how it went. But then karate also had this good part, which is called kumite.
Yeah.
This fighting style, which I right now preach a lot, because that wasn't a 50-50 fighting style. It was kind of like fencing. Like, you got to touch the guy, but you don't have to get touched by the guy.
Okay, I'll stop you there. 50-50 fighting style. 50-50 battle.
50-50 battle.
50-50
I always say
battle.
that.
What is 50-50 battle?
So when you're going to look at the MMA industry right now, especially in India,
Yeah.
or even if you're going to look Dutch fighting style kind of thing, so you'd be seeing these guys who are very much flat-footed, standing in front of each other. They are willing to give one shot or take one shot in order to land another shot. So you're giving that other person also some 50% chance, and you are also keeping a 50% chance to land in that case. So you know that you're going to get hurt in that fight. On the contrary, if you're going to look at guys like Wonderboy Thompson, even George St. Pierre, Lyoto Machida, Sean O'Malley these days, Conor McGregor, all these guys, if you're going to see, they used to take less damage and inflict more damage because of their footwork and stuff, because they weren't flat foot. They weren't like, you throw one shot, I'm going to block it or take it, and then I'm going to land my shot on you.
A lot of counter striking also. Like
A lot of
all
counter
them.
striking. These are the things you learn or develop with those kumite kind of
Karate.
things. You can see an old Conor McGregor video also. He's in some talk show in Ireland, and this karate guys comes in and he talks about those footwork and stance and all these things. So all these tricky guys, if you want to see in UFC, all these tricky guys, they have that bouncy motion in their legs. Even Henry Cejudo inculcated it into his game later on in his career to beat Mighty Mouse Johnson.
Yeah. So this guy on Instagram, maybe on YouTube also if he's there, a million styles boxing guy. What's his name? Barry Robinson. So he is like being revered as this coach these days, who is going against the grain, and he calls that forward and backward stepping called rhythm step. And he criticizes it a lot, saying that people, and like with the blanket statement, if people are doing that, that's obviously a wrong habit which everyone is just unaware of. All the fighters in the world are unaware of, and they're just making it because they do not know what's the correct stance to fight. And then he has his own take on it, like how to move, how to fight, how to just move in how to not use a L step and things like that. I have very limited knowledge on that. But as a striking coach yourself, what do you agree with his kind of statements or his style of coaching? What do you think?
I think he has just made a perception about this thing that people aren't aware when they are doing this step.
Right.
Because we people are very much aware when we do this. Recently, when I uploaded this reel regarding this moment of disbalance.
Yes.
So every time any coach, if they give example that karate stance is wrong because you can leg kick them, but also karate stylists bounce a lot.
Yeah.
So once you bounce a lot, and if someone throws a kick and you bounce back, that kick misses. And that's the moment of disbalance where you can catch that guy in a firefight.
That guy, yeah.
So that's how it goes. Conor McGregor used to do it. Wonderboy Thompson used to do it. Obviously, you get caught sometimes. That also happens.
And he uses a lot of these instances where people have gotten caught using that, which you can now just create a collection of reels of everyone who has done like some correct movement and has gotten caught in the history. And in my opinion, it's more of a marketing gimmick for
It's a marketing
himself.
gimmick. He's selling that product, just making himself, segmenting himself something different from others.
It's like how you would call like anti-wrestling scrimmage, and now because people are interested about that word, they will try to buy your DVD.
Absolutely.
Please buy my DVD.
So
in the
that's how
future.
it's going.
Yeah.
Buy my shit.
So 50-50. So what do you think in Indian MMA fighters, is this style also more prevalent, and what modern methods do Indian strikers need to employ in their game? What kind of style, fighting style, basically? That's what I'm asking you. Do you see in the Indian MMA prevalent right now?
There are 2-3 things that I believe Indian fighters should change. Obviously, I might face some heat for this now, but I'll still say it any which ways. Who cares?
We love it. We love
We
that
love it.
take.
So there are 2-3 things these guys got to change when it comes to martial art. First thing is put some footwork in, guys. Don't be flat-footed, standing up over there and willing to take a shot just to land one. Like you're taking the shots on your hand. Now you're gonna catch and now you're gonna counter, which Israel Adesanya did. But then when you're sparring for those things, you are having these big gloves, these big pillow gloves in your hand, which can actually block a shot. But in MMA, when you're doing this, shot gets passed through to your jaw, to your nose, to your eye, anywhere. So these are the things you should take care of. Like incorporate some footwork now and engage when it is required to engage. That's the first thing I would say. When it comes to sparring, I would say the more of this Dutch style of fighting where you keep these big tight hands, throw combinations, and with the looking and back to your guard and stuff, blocking like this. All these things can be a problem for you. So learn some elusiveness again. That footwork part again is going to come into the picture. Rather than taking every shot, blocking and throwing combinations, learn how you can evade and create angles for yourself at that time. Get a good stance in MMA is totally different from Dutch kickboxing or Muay Thai kind of thing. So that's something you people should incorporate when it comes to that again. And yeah, these are the things. If they change,
Basically,
things can change.
changing the style to become more elusive.
More
Because
elusive.
it's the game of
exactly.
not getting hit, as they say. Boxing is the science of not getting
Train
hit.
it like fencing. I always say it. Train it like fencing. I don't say it.
That's a
Good
great
coaches say it.
analogy, yeah.
Train it like fencing. You don't want to get hit, but you want to hit. George St. Pierre, Wonderboy Thompson, Israel Adesanya, all these guys. Even this guy, Robert Whittaker.
Right. He has a lot of that back.
Just look at these guys. The facts are up over there. How you should move, how you should train. Henry Cejudo. These guys are already giving you the facts. Still, those.
I think studying is another big factor which I would recommend to all our upcoming MMA fighters, because if you're not studying what the best guys in your business are doing,
Absolutely.
or if your coach is not making that effort, I mean, even if your coach makes that effort for your own personal style, you should be studying people who are like
Absolutely.
at the top. It's like studying Gordon Ryan if you want to become a better grappler, right? Equivalent to Jiu-Jitsu. You have to study what the best guys employ, because if that works at the highest level, it should definitely work at your level.
Imagine Peeyush bhai, Henry Cejudo and Mighty Mouse Johnson part 2 fight. Henry Cejudo goes back with that same flat foot style against Mighty Mouse Johnson. Do you think outcome would have been different again? Those knees again would have found your stomach and stuff would have happened to you.
Yeah.
He totally changed his approach of stance. He realized, I gotta change my stance. I gotta change the way I fight. Everyone knows how to throw a good jab, how to throw a good cross when it comes to those levels. I'm talking about abroad.
Yeah. Henry is such an intelligent fighter, and that's what, even after his recent loss against Sterling. First of all, how did you like that fight, Henry versus Sterling? Did you think it was controversial decision?
No. For me, it was straight away Aljamain Sterling fights.
Right. Same.
Yeah.
Aljamain completely dominated at least 3 rounds for sure.
Even in the wrestling department, Aljamain.
Yes, he was stuffing his takedowns and also he took our man Cejudo down.
Absolutely. He took his bag also.
When he was trying to do a split and he just pulled him in the
and
lockdown.
pulled him off from there.
That was great. So yeah, I think that really surprised Cejudo, because he was thinking, and that once again brings us to the same fact, guys, ki wrestling credentials on paper, not even on paper, like even if you are a top level Olympic champion, when you're doing MMA, when strikes are involved, when there are more dynamics to the game, it's a different thing. In a cage situation, it's a different thing. So you can definitely beat any world level grappler or any world level striker if you just mix your game well.
Totally.
And Sterling is a master of that, where he mixes it up really well. The same thing we used to say about GSP. The way he did it, I think Sterling is doing it in a more modern
Perfect
way.
shoot boxing master.
Yeah. And not to mention that they come from almost the same lineage of Danaher and then Matt Serra and then Firas Zahabi.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, did you watch this new documentary staying on the topic of MMA? McGregor Forever.
I never miss anything from Conor McGregor. That's
Are
how it
you a
is.
big McGregor fan?
Big time.
Damn. We're going to have some
I
problems
ride
now.
high on that.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about McGregor. Like, I definitely understand what he has done for MMA and what kind of eyeballs he has brought to the sport.
Hmm.
But his antics, I'm not really a big fan of. And but this documentary was a great PR job, I must say, because it just
Again,
showed.
it makes him relevant, no?
Yeah, the only bad part about this documentary is that it shows his losses.
Mm-hmm.
And even in that, he becomes very preachy that you have to win from the losses, you have to learn from the losses and things like that,
Mhm.
which you would expect in a PR documentary. But they rarely show like all the worst part of his personalities. And I'm not trying to be a hater here, but they're not showing that old man's punching incident. They are not showing. They are skipping the details where he kind of shoved the alcohol in the face of Khabib. They just clip that part.
Mm-hmm.
And
The dark part.
yeah, all the dark part about his extra martial affairs, marital affairs, things like that. Because they've shown him, painted him as the like true family man, loving his kids,
Mhm.
loving his wife. Whereas over the years we have seen that's not the case, right? Did you also watch this documentary?
I watched it.
McGregor Forever.
It was a little boring because of that only.
Because of this.
It was started with too much, force on. I am a good person. Look, I'm loving my kid.
Yes,
Mm.
they're showing him doing some social work after
Mm.
getting jail time.
Yes.
But there were certainly good parts also. Like I loved the part where his old version. They do the flashbacks with the old version of McGregor, where he's doing all the predictions and dreaming about that luxurious lifestyle that he's going to have one day, and then they just parallel it with his real life now, and he has achieved all of that. So that just really shows like the triumph of him as a fighter, as a businessman. So yeah, overall I like the documentary, but it got boring after the second or third episode, I guess.
I agree with you on that. Yeah, it was. Better than this, I have watched his earlier documentary by the name Notorious.
Notorious.
And obviously, at that time, his journey was something else. And I totally agree with you on this part. Like, post Floyd Mayweather, things became very dark. Even the humor and those things which used to come into the press conference wasn't
Yeah.
up over there.
After that money, he just changed.
He
a
just
little bit.
money changes, like it
Yeah.
has happened with so many people. People give example of that. Even Conor McGregor used to give example of that, but then it changes you.
It definitely does. Guys, we'll take a quick break and we'll be back on the other side. Stay watching. अभी तक dark आ रहा था क्या?
I have a feeling Peeyush हल्का सा डाल
मेरे साथ में आप डाक ही आओगे पीयूष।
Illuminato by God.
ठीक है.
Charles Oliveira कहता है ना, I'm illuminated by God.
Yeah.
All right.
There is no Jesus. You remember this? Bisping said that this to Vito Belfort. Once they faced off, so Bisping goes to Vito Belfort and says, "There is no Jesus."
Joe, are you comfortable?
Yes.
All right. Let's go. So, guys, we were talking about the documentary McGregor Forever. I gave my 2 cents on how I felt more of a PR documentary. Although whenever McGregor fights, he always puts a story out there. Each fight, there's a different story, and that's what I liked about the documentary. That there were a lot of stories with his every fights that were associated, the training camps and everything which happened behind the scene. Those things were like the best part about a documentary for me. And you were telling me about how you like the documentary.
So when it comes to this documentary and I compare it with the previous one, the Notorious, obviously things changes for me because that was too real. That was too real. Everything was the journey in that. Over here, yes, they have spotlighted him more of a person who is now coming into martial arts for the sake of you people, just to perform. So don't care about if he wins or lose.
Yeah.
So that's how it goes in the second
Although
part.
he cared a lot because I remember post that Khabib fight when he's in the locker room and Dana White comes and he's pissed that I think Islam, who was the guy who punched him in the
red
octagon?
t-shirt guy.
Yeah.
With that beard.
Yeah, probably one of the guys who got banned also after that from UFC. But in that moment also, he was not pissed about the fact that he got illegally hit in the cage, but he was like, I got beat when it mattered. That's it. I don't want to hear anything else. I don't care about anything else.
That shows the character of the man, to be honest. I
Definitely.
appreciate him for that. Saying stuff like that. Because he was like, that's all bollocks to me.
Yeah.
That person coming from behind and hitting
Yeah.
me. That's all bollocks. But this mattered to me. It mattered to him. That's how it was.
100%. And yeah, that fight, as we were talking, it got him to such a dark stage,
That was dark.
space also. You remember after the fight ended, he was like, it's all business. So,
I think he was worried now.
Yeah.
He got worried.
For the repercussions.
For things that were happening and the rage Khabib was putting in the fight.
Yeah.
He might be, obviously, he was talking to him. Talk now.
I think also where he talked about these Dagestani henchmen, not henchmen but businessmen who he claimed were like mafia. Ramanakov, I don't know, some
Taking money from them and opening up the gym.
some Chechen guy. So I think all those things and the stories that were coming out during that time was that now Conor is wanted by the Irish mob. They are not happy because he disrespected the Russian mafia, things like that, and there were hits out for him by these people. So that really made the whole scenario surrounding the fight really dark.
Irrespective of how dark it was, isn't that the biggest magnitude fight right now UFC has ever produced? Or is there anyone?
I think statistically that is the biggest fight. That's the most pay-per-view buys that any UFC card did, main event did. Probably 3 point. Can you just check what's the maximum number of PPV buys for an UFC card? I think it should be Khabib versus.
PPVs.
Yeah.
So I guess Conor did create a spectacle, even being that.
He does every single time that he fights. It's one of the biggest PPV buys.
The first
that
one was
Nurmagomedov versus
Conor McGregor.
Conor. I like how you stumbled there, Numa, and then you just left.
Habib Nurmagomedov.
You just gave up.
Nurmagomedov versus McGregor, 2,400,000 PV buys, which meant
2.4.
$180 million.
What's the second one?
The second one is
Probably Diaz.
versus McGregor 2.
Yeah. Oh,
The third one.
The second fight, that was 90 million in total.
Yeah. I think the biggest one will be the Nate Diaz trilogy. What do you think?
If that happens now, I think
I think it has to happen. Nate Diaz, even in a recent interview, said that I have to go back to UFC after this Jake Paul fight because he does not want to box all the time, right?
Who's winning that, Peeyush?
I think, look, I'm a big Diaz fanboy, but it breaks my heart to say I don't see Diaz's chances in that fight really good, because the biggest reason why I loved Diaz was because of his MMA abilities, his Jiujitsu expertise. His boxing was always good there. His cardio was different in an MMA fight. But in a boxing fight, when you remove a lot of those stipulations, I think it makes him less dangerous versus a guy who is in the prime of his life, in better shape than his, bigger size probably, and is more classically trained in boxing. I know that Nate Diaz has been boxing since he was 15, and he has done it with the greats like Andre Ward and who not. But right now, when he has already taken and accumulated so much damage in his MMA career, going against a guy like Jake Paul who is flatlining Tyron Woodley, it's a dangerous proposition.
The thing that I do not understand is, like, obviously a lot of people say Diaz brothers have got a very good boxing. I would agree that on Nick Diaz part, to be honest. But when it comes to Nate Diaz part, I really do not agree with that. Like, obviously he has got very good cardio. He has got that sudden 1-2 that he pops in the face. But apart of that, if you're gonna look him hitting the pads, his movement, all those things,
Technically, you're saying he's not a
good boxer. And when it comes to Jake Paul, that guy trains boxing like anything.
Exactly.
To be honest,
Yeah.
I'm not a Jake Paul fan at all, and I'm saying this.
He's obsessed about boxing. Basically.
Yes. And on the other hand, Nick Diaz, yes, he did have very good boxing, especially when I saw his fight against Robbie Lawler. So
Not the second one, right?
yeah. No, even the second one,
Second
I
one
would
also?
say. Obviously, he didn't have the cardio, stuff
Yeah.
like that, but I was seeing certain things that no UFC fighter does that. Maybe some Peter Yan kind of guys, maybe they do that. He was throwing punches from one hand and maybe two or three punches from one hand from different angles. Generally, there's this habit of boxers to throw one, then two, then three, then four. And this new thing a lot of good high technical boxers uses, like they'll throw a hook, then come back with that same hand to the liver
Uppercut,
or
yeah.
maybe to the uppercut. So you don't expect that same hand coming to your face. So Diaz was actually using that against Robbie Lawler in round one, and he was doing really good in round one. But he was also getting tagged. He wasn't in shape, and things changed.
Right, this new Russian heavyweight, I saw a breakdown of the exact same thing that you said. There's new Russian heavyweight who is like KOing everyone in the division. He did similar thing where he first went with the hook and then he used the same hand at a different angle for an
Yes, very
uppercut.
high level boxers are using it. Very
Okay,
high level boxers do use this kind of stuff from the same hand. Pop, pop, pop. You can come back with 3 shots from that same hand.
It's just a matter of training more those things, or it's just something
it's
that you
kinda,
create on the
it's
fly.
kind of like obviously it's more into training. If you're not going to train, you're not going to be able to pop that off.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's like being conscious about it. Like you understand that you have set certain patterns of throwing one and then right hand and then left hook. So now break those patterns with bam bam bam. Now I was expecting maybe a right is going to come, but then I'm getting tagged with that left hand. So it's
So-
creating patterns, breaking patterns.
Henry Cejudo made an interesting analysis video for which Connor even shat on him. If you see on his YouTube, where he was like, now why Connor has been unsuccessful in recent times versus the Connor which we saw in the earlier days, knocking out Alvarez and Jose Aldo. There is some technical mistake that he's making where he's leaning too much to the side and then trying to throw a weak jab, weak cross. So, have you seen that video?
Nah, I haven't.
Okay, if you haven't, then you wouldn't understand me because I'm not technical at all while explaining it. So, I think there is some sort of similarity in what Connor was doing as you described. But anyways,
It was distance management for me, to be honest. Earlier, he used to manage distance very good, like
Okay.
because that karate and the traditional martial art thing was in him. Like combine your karate stance with boxing, man. What a combination you create. He showed that. But once Floyd Mayweather thing happened, the stance changed completely. It was
To boxing.
completely U side, and now he's more of a boxer now, heavy on that lead foot. You can now chop that lead foot and stuff happens. That's how it went.
yeah, the Dustin Poirier match was an eye-opening for
Dustin
even the
Poirier,
entire
exactly,
MMA world
Exactly.
because of the calf kick.
That perennial nerve was
Oh,
destroyed.
that's distracting as hell. Anyways, that perennial nerve damage thing, because before that, I don't think calf kicks were so much talked about.
Benson Henderson was the guy only who used to chop someone's calf off, like Frankie Edgar's calf. So Benson Henderson was the guy. I remember it totally. And after that, I haven't seen anyone using calf kicks. And then Dustin Poirier came in.
Okay.
That's how it went. But the Benson Henderson
But it
was
has been
actually
done
the
before.
Yeah, Benson
Okay.
Henderson was the guy. Frankie Edgar's leg, he just completely chewed off.
And how long ago was this fight?
I think
2015, 16 or
yeah, it was that era only, 14, 15. Before Conor McGregor.
okay.
So I guess it's going to be 14, 15.
Which is your favorite corner fight?
My favorite Conor fight.
Don't say all of them.
I'm a big time fan of him. I would say Chad Mendes one.
Oh, where he came back from behind.
UFC
he was
189 it was.
Just getting beaten up from close guard.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the first corner match that I watched.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not know MMA back then as
Constantly
much.
talking to him in his face.
Yes.
Even when he was hitting him from close guard, he was still talking to him.
Conor McGregor press conferences back in the day would used to be so hilarious.
Hilarious, man.
Like
They weren't dark. That was
Yeah.
all humor.
That was all good humor also. Like the
Yeah.
entire press would be laughing at his jokes.
You remember that part? Like, I think Conor was. This was being done on TV.
Yeah.
So Conor was sitting, and Chad Mendes asks, "Conor, do you know what wrestling is? I'll rest my balls on your forehead."
Oh, it's my balls on your
That was
forehead.
next level
I think in
stuff.
the same one he asked Conor about his height as well.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, Conor, what's your height? And Conor was like, more than you, midget, or something like that.
Yeah, that.
It was funny as hell.
Even Connor's, pretty much all these moments he used to create with his trash talks, no? Even Uriah Faber thing, if you remember.
Yes.
There are no ringers, so why don't you go in the middle of the ring and shake that chin? Because Uriah got this butt chin.
Bro, 100% he used to like research on those lines and that. But he was very witty also at a lot of time.
Yes, he was.
Joe, have you seen any Conor McGregor fight?
Do you know the one with Aldo?
Who's
He
your Aldo?
comes, boom!
That was a pendulum left hook. We call it pendulum left hook.
I've shown that.
Left overhand left.
That was a very cool one.
That's probably what took Conor's superstardom to the next level. That knockout. So, just to give you a context for that fight, before that fight, Jose Aldo was undefeated for 10 years in UFC. And he was the champ for probably, he was holding that belt for longest time back then.
Longest time and was very dominant, very dominant.
And that's how he lost the match.
Yeah.
That must have been a
Man with some amazing fast twitch. Jose Aldo was
Yeah.
like that. And
Yes.
Conor just timed him perfectly.
It was so filmy, honestly. Man. It was going slow.
It was a thing out of the movie
Yeah.
where they talk trash throughout the press conference. It riles Aldo so much that right when the ref says go, this guy lunges forward and he was just ready. And he drilled that same counter in the backstage videos a lot right before the fight, where he's just moving out of the way and countering.
Conor
with
used
the
to
left.
always say Jose twitches a lot with his right
Yes.
hand. Twitches a lot with his right hand. If you're twitching a lot with your right hand, that means you want to throw that hand. Obviously, that can be used as a feint also
to counter,
in future by Aldo.
which will never
Twitch
happen.
and go left hook.
I was probably the saddest for Aldo because he did not get a rematch. Because that rematch would have been something to watch.
I think he has coped with it now, no? He
Yeah,
was talking about it.
but Conor would never drop down to 145 ever after that.
Absolutely.
Because he would kill himself. We have seen his videos where he looks like a skeleton.
Absolutely. Even in this documentary, we were seeing making 55 was becoming difficult for him.
Yeah.
But he has been a professional with
So I wanted to ask your take on this. John Jones, right after his last fight, where he beat Cyril Gane, he said, I'm going to do more grappling now in the cage. Because I've done kickboxing a lot. I feel like grappling is a much more safer way to do it. And I can finish fights much more with a less effort with grappling than by getting hit using the kickboxing approach.
Right.
So, which style do you think going forward is going to be more dominant? I think we have seen both sides. We have seen grappling dominate once, then strikers come in with good grappling defense dominate, and then we go back and forth. But if you're like an MMA fighter up and coming, what styles should you create your base in to become like super successful? Grappling versus striking. And because you are so heavily into striking all your life, I think this question is more interesting to you.
Peeyush bhai, it's just same thing like John Danaher says. Like, grappling has to be there even before you're striking, I would say, to be honest.
Okay.
Reason being, it sometimes also saves you. And like John Danaher says, you should know escapes through everything. Escape should be your first training in this thing. So it is an escape when some shots have caught you. And now you're in big time danger. It can buy some time for you. If you have
Okay,
got good
so it can
grappling
be
skills.
used as like a emergency strategy.
Yes. This Nate Diaz guy, Charles Oliveira. Now again coming to your
Yes.
point, you also told me about this. Like when this Jake Paul thing happens with Nate Diaz, now Nate Diaz is not going to get this chance of pulling guard now. Once he get rocked.
When he's rocked in MMA, he had this chance of pulling guard or slowing the action down by clinching. But in boxing, they will immediately separate you, and you are now in that vulnerable state where if you get rocked once again, it's lights out.
Absolutely. So if you're going to ask me about this debate of striking versus wrestling, I'm always going to favor grappling, to be honest. Even though I've done striking all my life, but I wanted to do Jiujitsu, but I didn't find any gym back then. I had to shift to Thailand for that.
So what I personally believe and what we have been teaching me and Rajiv at our gym to the students, our philosophy is more grappling heavy because we feel it's a much more safer long-term way to fight.
Absolutely.
If you fight in that 50 battle, as you said, which
50-50.
most fighters do, that will shorten your career because now you're absorbing so much hit that even before your pro fight, in your amateur, you have accumulated a lot of damage, brain damage. And that is not a sustainable way of fighting.
I'd like to add something more into
Yes.
this. Let's go to the facts now. let's bring in the best MMA fighter of all time when it comes to only MMA as an art. Who is it for you, by the
I
way?
think Khabib and GSP are right there.
You just named it, George St. Pierre, for me.
GSP, yeah.
So, John Danaher again quotes it perfectly, shoot boxing fighter. So, if you have got wrestling in your game and striking in your game, combine both. Now, what is going to be perfect for you as an MMA fighter is to take that person you are fighting out of his comfort zone. So, if the person standing in front of you is a good striker, take him down, beat the shit out of him on ground because he's not that caliber of a grappler that you are now.
Right.
And when it comes to grappling, just use like this Alexander Volkanovski kind of thing. Use scrimmage and everything and make that guy stand up in front of you and now tag him with your punches.
So you can
become a
expose other
shoot fighter.
people's weaknesses as well.
Yes. So treat MMA as a separate game, to be honest, if you want to be successful in it. Just don't train striking just because you love striking or train grappling just because you love grappling. Make a plan for it, and that's going to be the most successful plan you have ever created. Anshul, by the way, Anshul, our guy,
does this
he
really
has
well.
got this shoot boxing thing in him.
Yes.
He does grappling also,
And his striking is also looking
becoming
good.
every
Yes.
time he comes and competes. It is
Yeah.
also becoming really good. That's how it
So I
goes.
think Anshul can seriously in a manner of 2-3 years, and because his style is so less damage taking, he can really become one of the top guys, because this is how people evolve. Like, fighters are not just one fighter when they start in their career and then at the end of their career or even mid career after like a couple of fights. Every fighter keeps evolving if you know what you're doing, of course.
Absolutely.
A lot of fighters just stay the same throughout, and we have seen that with a lot of Indian fighters also at the top right now.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think Anshul looks great, man. His grappling is looking good. His striking has become really crisp, where he has that confidence now where he can stand up.
The best part is his mindset. Like
Yes.
people who have got great mindset, no, you can always see that in their upcoming performance. You'll always obviously see the levels of improvement that guy makes with every match.
Right.
Like striking is going to evolve, then grappling is going to evolve more. These things keep happening along
And
with
whatever troubled them in the last fight, that they work on that.
Yes, those holes have been filled now.
Yeah.
So that's how it goes.
I wanted to talk to you about. Let me just remember what do I want to talk about. So, what strikers should we follow and should we study? If you are a Indian MMA striker, MMA guy, and you are looking to study striking, which guys should you look up to and study?
So about this thing, I'd be saying rather than focusing on sport specific guys, because every sports have their different rules.
Yeah.
So if you're just watching Muay Thai fighters can fight like staying very tall, keeping a lot of weight on their back foot rather than their front foot. Like, and if you replicate that in UFC, someone's taking you down immediately with a blast double. So rather than following guys who are sport specific, like maybe Muay Thai guy or Karate guy, watch some good strikers in UFC who have actually done that. Study the facts. How did those techniques were implemented? And once you study those facts, try implementing that into your game. So when it comes to MMA, I would name certain strikers that I like to watch. And so again, then this karate biasness is going to come into the picture. But that's how this elusiveness comes into the picture. And these guys are safe. They have been safe for a very long time.
Right.
So it's Sean O'Malley right now for me. Wonderboy Thompson. Robert Whittaker.
Wonderboy was so hard to hit.
Absolutely,
People
very
wouldn't
hard.
be able to
So
touch
now,
him.
wrestle him. That's the
Yeah.
strategy everyone
Yeah.
uses. Robert Whittaker was one. When it comes to good boxing and keeping yourself shelled up, Peter Yan is one. Very good, great boxing. And some of his setups also, like spinning setups with like turns and then goes with the kick but ends up with the back fist, something like that. So these are certain people. George St. Pierre also, very good striking. Reason being because he was every time he used to mix it up very well with his takedowns, his striking. So yeah, George St. Pierre.
GSP.
These are the guys.
GSP is someone like, if you're not studying, you're not giving your 100% to the MMA game. Because these guys are like the masters who really put a lot of thought into their game, and they have figured out things which you are still trying to ask questions for. So you should definitely watch them, and that will definitely level you up. So all the Indian guys who are listening who want to do MMA, the names that he named, all those guys, please study them. and you'll have a lot of success. 100%.
All these strikers that I have named, they all have different qualities which you should focus on. I
Yes.
would be
And
saying.
pick like a good quality from
Pick
every
like a
fighter.
good quality.
You can't just copy entire game plan of one fighter.
Like
It might
Peter
be-
Yan, catch and shoot counters. Sean O'Malley, good range. Israel Adesanya, good feints and then setting up strikes. George St. Pierre mixing up strikes with takedowns, reactive, proactive. These are the things you should pick up and then mix everything good and become a better version.
Yeah. How was learning buggy chokes? I saw you had Sanjay last week for the seminar.
Man, Sanjay.
I saw. So you have bad knees, and then I see you in the story trying to do the buggy choke, and I was shouting, "No, no, no! Don't test it!"
Sanjay. I remember last time when I was in Rebel, I was just doing some rounds with Sanjay, and I was able to pass his guard. I turned him from turtle. I flattened him out,
Yeah.
and then I passed his guard, and I was like, I'm going to take some rest up over here, and then we'll decide. And immediately I
Big
saw Sanjay
mistake.
catching me in this buggy choke, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to put my forearm on his face. I'm going to lift hips up a little, like Firaz told, and I'm going to come out of it. Let Sanjay burn some
Doesn't
energy.
work.
And I'm seeing light going out. Some darkness coming into the picture, and I'm like, God, what's happening? And I tabbed. So I was like, man, I got to learn this.
Yeah.
I gotta learn this. Even it is very difficult for me to implement it because of my knees and stuff. But still, that if I want to know a defense for it, I should know the move. That's how. And so
100%.
Sanjay is one of the best when it comes to buggy with those Gumby legs. Yeah.
Buggy chokes and Gumby people, you have to be scared of them.
Yep.
Especially buggy chokes awareness. If you don't have buggy choke awareness, doesn't matter if you're a black belt at positional game, you pass to side control, and a good buggy guy will definitely sleep you. You might think, yeah, I'll just push his face away, do this. Bro, that's the level 1 reaction that they're always expecting.
Absolutely.
So, buggy chokes, yeah, when I got caught first time in it, I was like, damn, I have to learn a counter.
Who got you?
I think Sanjay definitely
Sanjay.
used it on me.
God.
But then I learned the buggy counter, which was to reverse buggy them instead. And I got him with that. So, I got him back.
Then Sanjay might have stopped trying. Eh?
I mean, he still tries, and it's a great way to also recover guard, because whenever people try to disengage, which is one of the better things that you can do, hollow body, try to disengage. Although I have a better counter for that, for the buggy now. It's more of preemptive counter, keeping hand at the side of the hip,
Makes
forearm in the
sense.
hips, and that will not allow them to lift their legs up enough.
Right.
But yeah, what else did you teach you in the seminar?
It was more of close guard, Peeyush. This
Okay.
is what we people planned because Sanjay's got amazing close guard, especially the triangles and stuff. And I do believe with my entire heart
Yeah.
and soul that guard is still
Yeah.
the heart of Jiu-Jitsu. Reason being, still in MMA, when you take someone down and they're in a bad spot and they're out of energy, this guard thing comes into the picture. So
Yeah.
you should definitely have close guard, not because of not because of competition and stuff, but to just defend yourself.
Right. Like close guard is the backbone of your entire grappling game.
Absolutely.
When you're learning it as a white belt, then you make more progress as you graduate further down in the belts. Your close guard just evolves and probably it's one of the more difficult positions to play, especially in nogi. It's not such an easy guard to play. People might just dismiss close guard as being, I was just watching this match today of Rafael Lovato versus Elder Cruz, and he's held him in the close guard, swept him as soon as he stood up, went on mount, and finished the match. Probably, I think it was a back take.
Have I ever
A
did
back
that?
take, yeah.
Okay.
A back take and a clean RNC. So, Matt props to him. Did you watch the WNO card today, which happened?
I have just idea
Oh,
through Instagram because I was traveling up over here.
You were in the bus.
Yes.
Or you blah blah car.
Blah blah guy.
Which was a bus.
Which was kind of a bus man today.
So
Hectic
every
journey.
time he comes here, he uses that blah blah car. And he used to sing praises about it, bro. It's the best thing ever. No stops in between. You can just it's better than bus.
The main problem was that this time I was surrounded by two women. So
Surrounded.
yeah.
Surrounded. That's a
So
nice
one
one.
was sitting in front and one was
Strategically
just sitting beside me.
placed.
So two women were up over there and it was difficult coping up with them.
So yeah.
Someone had motion sickness, then someone was talking to her boyfriend the entire time.
So that's the reason I would
Listening to
never
that
take a
became
blah blah
difficult.
car, because people can just start talking about their random
Totally.
things in life, and now you have to Did you have a headphone?
I was much more into like I gotta sleep because since
Okay.
I woke up 6 and I'm not a morning person.
Yeah, you have to have a headphone, bro. Whenever you're
Mm-hmm.
traveling in a public transport,
We'll take care
because
of it
there
next
there are
time.
there are assholes who will put their phone on loudspeaker and talk. Like I've been in metros where these guys do not give a fuck, like a single fuck about where they are or what they are doing
Yeah.
in a public place, in a closed space environment. They will just like start playing a random Bhojpuri music video, and they'll force everyone in the coach to listen it.
Delhi Metro just looks like a different story altogether, a different world to me. Like people are so much comfortable up over there. Each and everybody is doing their own thing, like as if they find comfort doing that. You know,
Bro,
someone is watching movie, someone is just swinging some sweaters,
Someone's in a
someone's
bikini.
eating something, someone's talking to a boyfriend crying, someone's kissing up over there. Things are
yeah,
happening.
it's a whole mini country in itself.
Life in a metro.
Yeah. Was that the
That
movie's
was a
theme?
movie.
Okay.
No, I don't remember that
Okay.
if it was a movie's theme. But yeah, name suits it,
Yeah.
the
See,
situation.
I do not complain a lot about Delhi Metro because it's still better than Mumbai local.
Absolutely.
And as long as we are in a air conditioned environment, I would tolerate. It's great to fall asleep in. Like whenever I used to travel long distances, it's the best 2 hours that you can sleep in a metro. Whenever you go from one end to the other end, if you are having a nap problem, just take the Delhi Metro.
I generally do not find seat, so that's a problem.
That's not the big problem. Usually, you have to be very strategic about it. You have to
I don't
just
find sleep.
Every time I do find seat, it is a senior citizen. And I realize, shit. I just look back,
and
shit.
then those people will come in and then they'll just stare at you.
Stare at you.
So that's why sleep. Just close your eyes.
That
Be
would be
an
much
asshole.
better. Even in that case, some uncles would come up, "Hey, get up."
यार uncle को बैठने दो यार. Uncle
There are
को
going to
बैठने
be
दो.
people like that.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll take another short break and we'll be back for the last segment of our podcast. Light it up. Let's go. All right. Welcome back. This is our last segment. We call this Light It Up. In this, I'll be taking some of the most controversial posts from the Reddit BJJ community, and we'll try to give our live take on it. Okay.
Absolutely.
So the first post is by Ashi Garami user. It says Spider Guard is fake. Your thoughts about it?
I've never done gi Peeyush bhai, to be honest.
So you don't
The
give
only
a-
thing I remember is that it was a good massage in Thailand for my biceps.
Yeah. So Spider Guard, I don't think it is fake because it is one of the most difficult guard, but just in itself, Spider Guard is a problematic position unless you mix it with something like Lasso. Okay, so if you're playing with variations like Spider Lasso, and I'm a gi nerd, I was a gi nerd, so I can definitely claim the correctness of it. Okay, Spider Guard is definitely not fake if you combine it with some sort of hybrid Spider Guard. Leandro Lo used to play a single leg X Spider Guard hybrid, which was great as well for sweeping. The Spider Guard is definitely not fake.
I think you also develop good leg pummeling skills doing that.
Exactly, and the leg dexterity that you develop playing Spider Guard and the hip movement, that's invaluable, both in gi no gi. Alright, this is by Critical Headshot 1. It says, most black belts can't teach.
I would agree on that.
I'll just add one more word to it. Most Brazilian black belts can't teach.
Can't teach.
Okay.
So,
I've seen a lot of shitty black belts, guys. I wouldn't say 100% of them were bad. Like there was some good, valuable stuff that you can learn from everyone. But Brazilian black belts, there's something to it that they do not like to upgrade their technique, and that's something like which I hate. I like people to be more updated with the modern evolution. Your thoughts?
I have trained with a black belt in Thailand.
What's his name? Let's name
Olavo.
drop.
Olavo is his name.
Olavo.
So I just remember that if you want to train along with him, and especially if you're taking private from him, better you take a face wash along with you.
Why is that?
Because he's going to spit on your face
Oh,
every time he teaches you.
Bro, I have that small spitting habit, but not too much.
But Olavo is just next level.
He'll just give you a face
Little
wash.
bit is enough because that happens with me also.
Yeah.
Especially when you talk with passion. No?
There are a lot of people in India who have gotten their belts through Olavo, so you might have upset some of them.
Sorry, guys.
Are you planning to take a belt from Olavo?
So I
anytime soon?
went up over there and I came to know about this 3 months thing. So I was like, but I'm here only for 2 months. So he was like, it's okay. You take 5 privates also. It's going to be 3 months.
It's equivalent to a month of training.
And
That's fair.
I'm okay being a white belt for life now.
All right. Critical Headshot 1 again asks, do you hate John Danaher?
Do I hate John Cena?
Like in general? What's
No,
your thought
not
on
at
that?
all, man. That guy is great. And since he's George St. Pierre's coach, I would never hate him. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
all just love for John Danaher. I would only hate him if he stopped making his DVDs,
Content, right?
which we illegally buy. What?
His
What?
content. His
Okay,
content.
yeah. Okay. Next one is Soft Ostrich, who is asking, should I quit? They've been just training for 7 to 8 months now, just to give you the context. And the only person they can tap is a woman who is 3/4 their height and in their 40s. So they're feeling very frustrated. What is your.
I guess if you are this sort of a person, you might only be going up there for some community kind of thing. The better you quit.
Or just enjoy the community. Why would you
Just
want to
enjoy
quit?
the community.
Just give your local jiu-jitsu gym the money they need.
Exactly.
Yeah, fill our pockets. Do not quit. All right, moving on. It talks about Zuck's first Nogi match. Brown to black 10 months. Is that possible?
I think anything's possible when it comes to this belt grading system. Since we were talking
Yeah.
about Olavo, everything. So yeah, it is totally possible. In karate, it is much more possible in less time. Maybe 2 days. Just pay them.
Nogi obsolete. Is Nogi obsolete now in today's world? Come on, there's just one answer. Definitely not.
Not at all.
Are you out
Not
of
at
your
all.
mind, guys? Come on, don't be
No, I
asking.
was just thinking for something else, but yeah, not at all.
The name of the poster is "You Are a Wizard, Harry."
What do you think if this thing is going to come into Olympics, this Jiu-Jitsu thing? Is it going to be Nogi or Gi?
Bro, I don't want first of all jiu-jitsu in Olympics for the obvious reasons that I don't want federations to be trying to overrule the sport and decide who is going to Olympics or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like the more fairer system is to go through ADCC trials, win the trials, book your tickets to ADCC Worlds, where there's less politics in the term of like government involvement. You know, there's
Absolutely, you're right on that.
Yeah.
Because every sport that has been through this process has just literally gone down.
Watching Crone last night was atrocious.
It was embarrassing, to be honest. And I used to be a big time Chrome Gracie fan. I still am, but
Did you see the response that Cron Gracie gave on his Instagram story? Basically, he was writing in some bad spellings that he did it for the fans, for the fans of Jiu-Jitsu, so that he did not have to punch even a single time and still beat the guy, which is like the 1992 way of thinking about.
maybe Hickson asked him to do that.
Yeah, but he was just blaming it on the Jiu-Jitsu fans. He's saying that I'm going back to my old ways, which wasn't so great anyways. So yeah, just learn some wrestling, bro.
Then that's him being dumb, I would say.
I would love to see him in ADCC though. Like if he can
Even-
come to ADCC,
absolutely. Make it Gary Donovan versus Chrome
bro,
Gracie kind of
that
thing.
would be like the fight of the century
Absolutely.
in grappling. That would be amazing. All right, what does smashed mean in BJJ terms?
Smash passing. It's pressure, I guess.
I don't think so. Smash means to smash. To smash. Just don't let anyone else know it. Smashed. Okay, moving on. I think we have a few more questions. Why is resting and recovery so hard?
You would answer it?
Yeah.
Why is
Why is it so difficult? Because a lot of people just don't know the thing about proper sleep. They'll just sleep randomly at 2 a.m. in the morning and then they'll be like, oh, I'm still sore.
I think at certain age it is okay. Like you can bypass that. But once you start aging, you start coming into your late 20s and stuff, it literally becomes difficult for your body, to be honest. So yeah, sleep and diet, all these things
Yeah.
do take time. It requires discipline, to be honest, and that's how it becomes difficult.
It does.
It's difficult for me.
The resting and recovery part?
Yep.
What do you
This
do?
sleep thing, this diet thing, be constant with your diet, be disciplined with your diet. I am not.
With
that
my
person.
diet, I'm definitely not because I eat a lot of trash. But with sleep, I have to be because if you do not sleep, it just messes up your entire next day. and I have to teach every single day at 8.
Absolutely. I know that you're good on that sleep part, because every time I send you a reel at 11:30 or something, you never reply, and then you wake up in the morning and then you reply back. That's how it
Yeah,
is.
man. Like if the clock hits 11, I do not send back any replies. Even if I'm reading something, I'll just not reply, because then it creates a cycle of responses and then talks. And then once you go into the world of WhatsApp and Instagram, it will just, now you're watching reels, all of a sudden you're in that cycle and your sleep gets delayed by 1 hour.
So again, you're disciplined with it, so that's how it is easy for him, not easy for us.
Okay, this guy says, last question probably, how do we solve BJJ stand up? So he thinks that standing up in BJJ is still a problem because people try to pull guard and all of that. How do we solve it?
I just didn't get it. Like, BJJ stand up, people are trying to pull guard on you. That's what he
No,
means.
he's just asking as a meta. Like Jiu-Jitsu community, we focus so much on
The ground
so much
part
on the
only.
guard part of it. So how do we solve this problem?
So if someone's trying to pull guard on you and you're good with wrestling and stuff, use that guard passing as a passing opportunity for you. Be quick with it. Like, keep that pattern in your mind, I would say.
Yeah, also just get better at guard passing, because if you are better at guard passing in top position, it will definitely discourage the other person from pulling guard every time, and that will force them to wrestle, which is what exactly happened with me. So people got better at passing and they used to start smashing my guard, and then I was like, okay, I have to stand up, I have to learn a little bit of wrestling so that I can impose my own guard passing, right? My own top pressure. I don't see any more. Okay, I have to take this. I'll take this. This guy is called Smash Everyone, and the title is Being Evil. And he says, you know, the memes I've really enjoyed, which inspired me to embrace my evil side a little bit more. I heel hooked and smother choked the white belts today. And yeah, know what? I had fun. So, what do you think? Is this truly evil, or
As long as he's not just ripping those heel hooks and he's respecting the tap, it's not evil, to be honest. It's okay to
Yeah.
practice your moves on white belt with some least resistance thing and perfect them for
Yeah.
blue belts and purples.
Definitely, it's a total normal behavior, guys. If you're not smother choking the white belts in your class, you are not doing enjoying the full extent of jujitsu which it has to offer. So please start smothering and heel hooking your white belt friends today.
Just
Uh,
respect the tap though.
Just respect the tap. When you're smother choking them, it's okay to go on for
Maybe 3-4 seconds
3-4
more.
extra seconds.
You do that to me.
Let them feel the true extent of the effectiveness of smother choke. All right, guys. So I think that was our podcast for today. We'll have Girish back once again very very soon, because he keeps coming almost
Pretty much every week now.
almost every
I am
week.
improving my jiu-jitsu, guys. That's how it goes.
Yeah, and we are improving our striking, so I get to learn a lot of striking insights from him. He's trying to convert me to the striking side of it, but I think post ADCC trials success, probably I'll learn a little bit of striking, but not now. Jiu-Jitsu purist
Absolutely.
for now. So it was pleasure to have you, bro,
Pleasure
here.
being up over here, Peeyush.
And probably next time we'll have many more things to talk about.
Absolutely.
And yeah, let's go.
Looking forward. Pleasures.
Let's get back to academy, have some evening training.
Absolutely.
And
Let's do
then
it.
See you,
Then
brother.
I'll be off.
Os.
Yes.
Thank you, Joe.